initiate a discussion on this, we have to first explain the world price and comparative advantage. So when a country starts dealing with other countries in terms of import and export, we need to consider two important prices. The first is domestic price and the other is the world price. So it is based on the difference between the world price and domestic price we will decide whether the country will export or import. Therefore, the first question, the first issue that we need to address, or the first question that we need to answer, is whether the country will become an importer or the exporter. So to answer this question, so our question is whether the country will become an importer or exporter, or will the country export or will the country import. To answer this question, we have to compare the domestic price to the foreign price or the world price. So we need to make a comparison between the domestic price and the world price. So here this sentence is very important. To answer the question whether the country will become an importer or exporter, we have to compare the domestic price, DP means domestic price, to the foreign price or world price. So a comparison between these two things, domestic price and world price, is very necessary to understand whether the country will import or export. So what is world price? Simply speaking, world price is the price of a good that prevails in the world market for that good. So simply speaking, world price is the price of the commodity prevailing in the rest of the world or prevailing in foreign countries. That is the world price. So see, if the world price exceeds domestic price, so if the world price is greater than domestic price, let us suppose that the price of the commodity is just 100 in our country, but it is 250 in the foreign countries. So 250 in the foreign country, but in our country it is just 100. What will happen to the trade of the country? The country will start exporting the commodity, because if the producers of the country sell the same commodity in the foreign country, they will get 250 rupees. So therefore, this will result in the export of the commodity. So if the world price exceeds domestic price, then the country will export. Conversely, if the world price is lower than the domestic price, then the country will import. So I will discuss these things here. The case is, if the world price is greater than domestic price, then it will lead to export. It will lead to export. So the country will become an exporter. The country will become an exporter. Exporter if the world price exceeds domestic price. If world price is less and domestic price is more, then the country will become an importer. The country will become an importer. So this is the basic difference. Okay. So if the world price is greater than domestic, and if the world price is equal to domestic price, there is neither import and export. No both of these. No export and import. So if world price is greater than domestic price, the country will export, and if the world price is less and domestic price is more, the country will import. So say here the world price is 250 and our domestic price is 150, then we will sell the commodity outside, because from outside we will get 250. So the producers will sell the commodity outside. On the other hand, if our world price is say 100 and our domestic price is say 300, what will happen? We will buy the commodity from outside. As means when you buy the commodity from outside, it is called import. So, okay, so this is a basic difference. So to answer this question, whether the country will become an importer or exporter, we have to compare the domestic price to the foreign price. And so long as the world price is greater than domestic price, the country will be exporting, and so long as the world price is less than domestic price, the country will be importing. Then in a sense, comparing the world price with domestic price before trade reveals whether the country has comparative advantage or not. See, when the domestic price of the commodity reflects the opportunities cost of the commodity, simply it's the cost of the commodity. It tells how much the country must give up to obtain 1 unit of the commodity. If the domestic price is low, what does it mean? The cost is low. If our domestic price is low, if we are able to sell the commodity at a low price, indirectly it means that the cost is low. And if the cost of production is low in our country, it means we have an advantage. We have a comparative advantage in producing that commodity related to the rest of the world. So if the price of your commodity is less, it does mean that your cost of production is less. And if your cost is less, it means you have an advantage. You have a comparative advantage in that commodity, because you are able to produce the commodity at a less cost. You are more efficient in the production of that commodity compared to the other countries. Then if your domestic price is high, what does it mean? You are incurring more cost for the production of that commodity. That means you are not efficient. Other countries are efficient. That means you have no comparative advantage, but other countries have comparative advantage. So if the domestic price is high, then the cost is high, suggesting that foreign countries have comparative advantage, and the country which we consider has no comparative advantage. Okay, so these two sentences are very important. If domestic price is low, then it does mean that the cost is low. That means the country has comparative advantage. If domestic price is high, then the cost is high. That means other countries, foreign countries have comparative advantage, and the country which we consider has no comparative advantage. So this is a basic difference. So simply speaking, to explain Indian foreign trade, we need to answer this question. That is the first important question we need to answer is whether the country will become an importer or exporter. And this depends upon the difference between world price and domestic price. If world price is greater than domestic price, of course we will be exporting, and if domestic price is high and world price is less, then we will be importing. Simply speaking, WP greater than DP, world price greater than domestic price, means the country will become an exporter, and if WP is less, world price is less and domestic price is more, then the country will become an importer. And indirectly it means that if your domestic price is less, then you are more efficient in the production of the commodity, so you are able to produce the commodity at a less cost. It suggests that your country has a comparative advantage in the production of that commodity. On the other hand, if your domestic price is high, then it means that you are less efficient, so your cost of production is high. It suggests that you have no comparative advantage and other countries have comparative advantage. This is the meaning of connecting the trade with the comparative advantage. Okay, so in order to explain whether one country exports or imports, you have to compare world price to the domestic price, and from a comparison of world price as domestic price, we can understand whether the country will become an importer or